that.
Yeah, so 2.5 days back from stress leave, and it all kicks back in, and all of a sudden I just was like praying, oh, get me out of this somehow. And, as luck would have it, they consolidated my division, offered me a severance package or a different position, and I took the severance package and I ran.
Oh, did you do a little dance?
Yeah, and that's when the whole really digging into transformation and really starting to heal from all that stuff, and that's when I really started doing the personal transformation, and that's when I learned all this stuff.
One of the reasons that the devolution exists is because for women your age and younger, there is no system or role models or mentors to help them deal with that overwhelm.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Good.
This is so needed. I knew the moment I talked to you that you were doing big things. So,
well, thank you
it's
very
amazing.
much. Well, and back at you.
Yeah,
I knew you were
you.
too. You're welcome. So, overwhelm happens because there's too much of yourself. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but in women, there's too much of yourself going out without being replenished. You're not getting enough in. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So what would be some ways?
And as women, too, we tend to take care of everyone else before we take care of ourselves.
Yeah. And, that's what we try to teach, to take care of it. How can you take care of somebody if you're depleted? You do
exactly.
You do it begrudgingly and crabbily.
Yeah.
Well, and poorly.
And poorly, right.
That's part of trying to be
biological anthropologist Helen Fisher, for example, who's on TV all the time, she talks about that, and she looks back at gender way back to the beginning, or as far back as there's any information about it. Women were born with a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So when they take on what we call a full-time job today in modern society, it doubles up the stress level. And the outside world is not what, historically speaking, from an anthropological perspective, women haven't had time to be able to reconstruct a skill set to be able to accommodate to that after thousands and thousands of years of having that full-time, manage the domestic world.
Still taking care of things.
So it's a lot of anthropological type folks will say these are skill sets that build in over generations.
Right.
And to just, out of the blue, since World War II, taking on other full-time jobs in the public sector outside the home, that's goes against, our evolutionary cycle.
It goes against that, and it goes against our natural nurturing, to go in and compete with men. It's no wonder that we're overwhelmed and overworked. And so now we're working. Instead of, if you have a 40-hour job outside of your home, you also have how many hours at home?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no wonder that we're melting down. It's no wonder that you had that meltdown.
Yeah.
It's, it's so let's talk about, so we know what the problem is. Mm-hmm. We know that there's, I would like to see the stats on how many women actually have meltdowns. I bet they're phenomenal. So anyway, in your opinion, how would one start to climb out of that overwhelm?
We got to start putting ourselves first. I mean, it's as simple as that, and building some structures and putting things in place and doing it first thing in the morning. I mean, it's just making choices, better choices for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree with you more. And to have, and some people are naturally more organized than others. But as a divorce, I like to work with families that are going through divorce. And when the kids are shared custody, they get overwhelmed too in situations like this, where the rules are one way at mom's and one way at the dad's. To make the rules the same, when you get up in the morning, this is what you do. You do the same thing. And that's structured, exactly what you said. And then at night when you get home from school, this is where this goes, this is where this goes, this is what you do. And if we would do that for ourselves, we actually lived that. And I'm not saying that you can't make bends every now and then, or
no, but structure helps form that cohesiveness every day,
right, and helps you get away from overwhelm.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because I fight structure because it feels so stifling.
Me
but
too.
Truly, and I have this image of I want to be carefree and creative, but truly structure gives us it gives us more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
We know in those moments when we can have space to think and to so I encourage it all the time, and I encourage it first thing in the morning, because when you can take care of yourself first thing in the morning, then the other things can follow. So it's me first with some meditation and some spiritual practices, and then the kids, and then work. And that's
right.
how it always should be, versus people, they will wake up, they'll go to work, and then the family, and then themselves. It's got to be flipped around.
Right. And do you find that if you do not follow that pattern, that your day does not run as smoothly?
Yeah, because you'll easily get into resentment, and you'll start resenting everything around you when you don't take care of yourself.
That's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's you have to set boundaries too, and get other people to understand that is how it is. My husband was off work for 2 months because he had cataract surgery, and I'm like you. In the morning when I get up, I read, I stretch, sometimes I walk, sometimes I go to the gym. But when I have that time, by the time I get to do what I need to do, by the time I get here to the studio, I'm so much more able to attack different projects that I have. And I'm not thinking, I should have done that. I would have felt better. And my husband was home for those 2 months, and he kept wanting to talk in the morning. I don't talk in the morning.
Did he throw you off your schedule?
I was a mess.
Not before your coffee.
Yeah.
I think about my day. I think about my week. I write. Many times I write. I have articles that I write, and that's when I do it. I do it in my head. I don't always do it on the computer at that time.
But he threw you off your schedule.
And I was really scatterbrained, more so than usual.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you get your children to go along with that? Do you get up before them and start your day?
Yeah, my children have been so structured from the minute I could start teaching them.
Say that again. Listen to this. Listen to what she's saying. Say that again, would you please?
I said my kids have been so structured from the minute that I could start teaching them, and my oldest is almost 9, and he still goes to bed at 7:30 every single day for the last 9 years.
Bless his heart.
It's super structured because it has to be. And on the other side of it too, I really encourage my husband, again, he needs to take care of himself first. Like I encourage everyone. Take care of yourself first, and then everything else will fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do you get a lot of feedback from women, and if you deal with men as well, about having feelings of guilt
when you take care of yourself?
When you look at, I need to take. I mean, do you hear women having a problem with that transition?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have it. I still have to work through my guilt.
Oh yeah.
Time.
Well, you're fighting thousands of years.
Yes. And that's
Sorry,
that's really
it's
true.
real.
So when you're coaching somebody and they say that guilt is, and that's resentment, then resentment is really hard to recover from once it gets to that point. So when people say that they have guilt, what do you say to them?
I go right into the energy work, and I have them tap into that specific guilt, and then I neutralize them from it. And it's just such amazing work because, and this is where the spiritual practices come in play, right? When we're in our heads, we think too much, and the emotions and all that, it just gets all trapped in our body. So I just get them right to work and to feel out the emotions. neutralize it, and by the time they're done, they're completely shifted. They're like, oh, of course I deserve this time. Of course I don't feel guilty about this. This is so silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. That's good. So how long have you been doing this, Tui?
I officially started my business in 2014.
So
January.
a good year now. And because it's so cutting edge, you're right on in the beginning of it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
it's
what is
exciting.
different from your life in corporate America and now? What are the main differences that you've seen that other people can expect?
It's so funny because I've shifted a lot from being in this need to control everything. In my corporate, I was in this, my title had the controller, I was a controller. So it was about controlling every single outcome in my life and in my, in my job and in my family. And what's shifted is I've really just kind of surrendered and gotten really uncomfortable, or really comfortable with the unknown. And I don't try to really control anything anymore. I just kind of let it all come to me and kind of flow through it. And it's such a much more peaceful way to live life, and it's more exciting.
Mm-hmm. So you do, that's pretty much what I've learned too, is you can't force things. They happen on their own time. Although you can manifest and work toward them, you can't force them. And if you have some parts of your life that are structured, you are better able to, just like you said, to be more creative because the structured parts are finished with and they're things that you need to do and should do. And they almost become habit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're going for, developing good habits. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. And what I love so much about the kind of work that I do and the people that I work with is that as much as I pull in spiritual practices and teach like law of attraction and energy healing, I keep it really grounded because we are here in physical and on the ground, and I really keep people in action, and being in action is creating good habits and moving forward and having positive thoughts and doing good things for yourself. So, it's a nice balance of the woo woo and the practicality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We know that well.
Yes. So, if you were to give, let's say that there's a person that you're reaching out to that's listening right now, and they are in that state of overwhelm, what would be something that you would say to them to start getting them going in the right direction?
Well, the very first thing is to get really present, right? Because overwhelm is either them just worrying about something that's going to happen. It's just some kind of future or past thing, right? So get really present to where they're at right now and what choices can they make in this now moment to take that next step.
And what?
And
go on.
Let go
Let
of everything
go.
else that they can't do right in this moment and just start taking those steps.
Very good. And what would be a couple steps that they should take?
Really just to kind of surrender to the fact that they can't control everything right now, and it really depends on what it is that they're worried about or what they're overwhelmed with. Like if they've got a gazillion things as a mom, they've got to run their kids to soccer practice, and they've got clients they need to get back to, and they need to put dinner on the table. Well, right in this moment, what can they do right in this moment? And just do it and let the other things go. And then once you get that accomplished, do the next thing. And once you get that accomplished, do the next thing. Or ask for help.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's hard for us, isn't it?
Oh, that is so hard.
Very good. If you'll stay on the line, we'll come back and get all your contact information right after this word from our sponsors. We're here talking to Tui Tran, what is it? And what's your last name? How do you say it? Tran?
Tran.
Okay.